and girls, this is game 3 between Polt and ReiTor. This is, of course, the Dreamhack Open Qualifiers, and this is, in all sense of the word, the ace match. What's going to happen here, what's really important about this match, of course, is one player will go on to the round of 8, where the tournament will stop for today, but not entirely. I'll explain that more in a moment. Spawning here in the upper right corner of the map, though, playing red, playing Terran, it is, of course, going to be Polt. And his opponent in the lower left. This really aggressive Protoss player with some of the coolest build tactics. It's going to be your purple Protoss player, ReiTor, from eSubai. Now, Polt is an opponent to be feared. That much is to be said. That much is to be determined. But the one really cool thing is, this is 2 games now where he's kind of tricked Polt. Not like Polt lost that game because he was tricked. That wasn't Polt thinking it was DTs. He just didn't know it was going to be Blink Stalkers. In game 1, of course, we had that Stargate kerfuffle, and even though it didn't work out in ReiTor's favor, still kind of tricked Polt with it. And this is not a player you can easily trick, not a player easily rused, and we saw that already in game 2. When Polt came back in with that Reaper, it was confirmed that the same trick wouldn't happen twice. I cannot wait to see how this goes. Now, while we wait for the game to gear up, a quick explanation again for anyone just tuning in. Things will start at the round of 8, or sorry, stop rather, at the round of 8. So this is the round of 16. These are the last games to be played today. At the round of 8, those players will be saved and locked in to a future qualifying tournament. So this is the Dreamhack Open Qualifier number 1. There will be a second qualifying tournament that will also go to the round of 8. Then those 2 round of 8 brackets will combine to make one final round of 16 qualifier to determine who gets to participate in Dreamhack Winter. And Dreamhack Winter is the big one, guys. It's the reason you see a lot of the Koreans coming out. They want to play, they want to participate, they want to get in. And whether it's Polt, whether it's Curious, whether it's 4GG, it doesn't matter. We got the best of the best competing online on the European server to try and make this happen. But okay. Coming on in with a scout. Initially here is Polt. Getting in a little bit early. Nothing here to really, I guess, I don't know, discover. I gotta tell you guys, though, if ReiTor finishes this game beating Polt, I'm gonna see if he'll take a quick time to, not a voice interview, but a quick question interview, because I have never heard of this guy before. I cast every weekly event. I've cast Go for StarCraft, I've cast the Zodiac Cup, but I don't know who this fellow is. And I'm really glad and happy that we can still have someone come out of the community like this and surprise not just players, but also myself as a caster, as a commentator. And I'm not a professional commentator. I don't cast main stage anywhere, but I do a lot of community casting, and I've gotten to know a lot of the unfamiliar faces, and this is still an unfamiliar face, which is really cool for me. Stargate actually coming down this time. If it weren't for game 1, I wouldn't be giggling at that, because that's a pretty standard thing to do in a TVP. Oracle can be really cool. For those who don't know the full potential of the Oracle, a lot of you guys see Oracles get utilized to go in, try and kill SCVs, and either it dies or it kills a lot of workers, but retaining the Oracle is really important. Revelation is something that I feel is going to become more and more important as future days come for StarCraft 2, because the Revelation effect on medevacs, on Marines, knowing exactly where your opponent is at all times is insanely beneficial, and it lasts for like a minute too. There's no way to cleanse it. So if you guys don't know, by the way, what I'm talking about, Revelation, oh, here comes that Reaper, making sure that nothing is shenanigans upon this game. Revelation allows you, I'll show you once the Oracle actually builds, if I can mouse over. Oh wait, I can't. Right, I think I got there must be some option I have clicked off by mistake that's not letting me mouse over things, but anyways, Revelation allows you to see not the vision of the unit you reveal, but the direct vicinity around it for 1 minute. So tracking medevacs, not a problem. Gotta have observers in the right position? No way, because you see the medevacs coming, whichever direction they come from. But of course the Oracle, in its base form, does have the potential for a lot of damage. It absolutely shreds Marines. It kills SCVs in what is 2 hits, but looks like 1 second. I mean, it's got one of the fastest attacks in the game. What is this? I can't mouse over it. It's 25 damage versus light, and I believe it's every 0.52 seconds. I could be wrong, but again, for whatever reason, I can't mouse over. I'll have to look into this later. I thought it was my game client. I did restart it. Ugh, didn't fix anything. But okay, refineries, SCVs, guarded by the Marines. I love that Polt's got a ton of Marines in both bases. That's going to be on delay, but hopefully chat will get that joke. Anyways, Oracle going to come right on in. Find the Marines, though. Should be driven out of the base, but sadly, it might be driven southward. And if it's driven southward, it'll run into even more Marines. So we'll try and hide behind the base for the time being. Oh, going to try and run around the Marines. Going to use the engineering bay to his advantage. Keeps picking off a couple SCVs. Kind of cool. This is something in another scenario. Oh my god, picks off another SCV. And these are building SCVs too, not your regular SCVs, but energy on the Oracle going to be limited. Runs into the Marines. Can it get out alive? It's going to be close. I didn't first blood. My bad, guys. But oh my goodness, the Oracle. Forget the fact that they got kills. 4 kills might seem unimpressive, but that's an Oracle that should have gotten A, no kills whatsoever, and B, it should have died. But really well handled by ReiTor. Meanwhile, Reaper outside the base of Polt, or sorry, outside the base of ReiTor by Polt is going to make sure he knows exactly what's going on. Oracle going to try and go back in for round 2, but sadly has no shields and is already at almost half health. This has got Marines with... Actually, the stim pack almost makes it worth it, but the Oracle's going to get away. However, a missile turret is coming down, and Polt is already going to reposition his Marines, I imagine, yeah. But back at home, we've got Charge on the way. Reaper's coming back in for a bit of a scout. Won't see anything detailed just yet. Lots of gateways on the way, but no double forge, no insane upgrades over his opponent. And the Oracle, I don't know, just kind of hanging out. Just hanging out. I don't know. Gonna do what I can for the time being. Polt with a huge, massive army on the ground. That stim, by the way, from those Marines. These medevacs just got on the field, but that stim for the Oracle is actually kind of worth it. Ooh, ReiTor will move out and get sniped off in the end. Sorry about that. I needed some water. Again, this is actually ironically 6 minutes away from 6 hours of casting solo. This is actually a record for me as far as solo casting goes, but coming across the field, marching down is Polt with a tremendous army. These Marines do not have combat shields, but there's no area of effect on the field. There's no Colossus, there's no Archons, and there's especially no Storms. Photon Overcharge is going to be absolutely necessary to hold this off. Charge will be great. It'll shred the Marines. It'll allow them to connect to the Marauders, but Polt does not have concussive shells, so no kiting is really going to be available. This could get rough. Maybe not yet. Both players a little bit tentative on engaging here. Polt, of course, has to be very fragile, very careful with his army. Making like Arnold. I always make like Arnold Schwarzenegger noises, like in my head, and then kind of half make like. Get to the medevac. But ReiTor, okay. So I want to talk about the Phoenixes that are on the field. I'm sorry, I didn't discuss them earlier because I was so busy watching what was going to happen. Phoenixes are great in this matchup because they chase down medevacs. They're like Mutalisks in the regard that they outrun them. They might not do a ton of damage, but they will shred medevacs to bits. Additionally, they can lift up the Marines, the Marauders, start crowd controlling the really intensive units, but their job is primarily going to be to kill the medevacs for now. If Colossus get on the field later, they're a great buffer for the Vikings, and Polt realizes, I cannot take this fight, and he books it on out of there. A couple Graviton Beams might catch a Marauder, but it also might cost the Phoenix their lives, so we do see him being a little bit careful about lifting units off here. Yeah, there we go. See, that's what I'm talking about. It has to be careful about lifting. Gets a little bit greedy, but allows the Zealots to connect. Oh, a couple charges do go off, and right now, if these Phoenixes were chasing the medevacs instead of going after the Marines, I think he could have snanked a couple of little bit better kills. But with so many Archons on the field and a lot of purple shiny Zealots, ReiTor is looking in a really strong spot right now. However, we do see no weapon upgrades, but that's because, again, armor upgrades are so important in this matchup and so heavily in the favor of a Protoss in PvT. Armor upgrades for a Terran, they're necessary, but they're not exactly quote-unquote OP like they would be for a Protoss, because Marines already do almost no damage as is. You know, Guardian Shield reduces everything by 2. You got +2 armor upgrades as well. Something Marines are doing less than half damage to you. That's probably incorrect. That's probably closer to actually half damage, but we may see a similar situation in Game 1, guys. A giant base trade may be underway. Medevac's going to drop here. A bit of a doom drop, the signature style of Polt, if you will. However, this is so many Archons and so many Zealots, and the last time ReiTor tried to bust Polt, there weren't 3 bunkers. The SCVs were not pre-pulled, and this wall probably will not go down. A big recall goes off instead. A really smart move, but the Nexus falls anyways. He should be able to clean this up. Zealots just go into town, meat grinding everything. Phoenixes will chase these medevacs across the field, and as we see, just like Mutalisks in ZVT, designed solely and entirely to shut those down. So despite losing the base in a really rough spot, ReiTor, oh no, are his Archons trapped? Oh no, are his Archons trapped? He's gonna have to kill a pylon to get these guys out, unless they can squeeze through here, fat tubby bastards. But does he realize he doesn't have those with the army? Pure Zealots can't push. Third base was knocked out by Polt, or knocked out of knocked out of commission. I mean, not going to say knocked down because, of course, we see it floating here above the natural, but... Okay, yeah, has to tear down the pylons. Now got the Archons coming out. Is Storm on the field? No, did not get Storm up behind this, sadly. So, Army standing as is. I don't know. That drop may have just been too much. That drop may have done too much damage. Those Phoenixes, they really needed to be patrolling around, keeping an eye on those medevacs. If he had kept the Phoenixes at home instead of chasing off in the middle of the field, Graviton beaming up the random Marines and Marauders that he did, that may have been avoidable. I'm not saying it was, but it was possible that could have been shut down before it became nearly as damaging as it was. But losing the Nexus is definitely harsh. Gonna have to take a third to make up for it, but can't because the Reaper's camping this one, and the factory is gonna actually burn down over the other. But here we go, big charge up the ramp. Zealots are gonna go to town on display. There's no SCVs to repair though, and the Phoenixes are not focusing down the medevacs, instead picking up the couple of Marines that they can. Archons are now gonna bust through it, even if the SCVs are pulled. Time Warps are thrown down. Splash damage is gonna go on top of everything, and Zealots trying to get up top of the ramp here. Marauders gonna hold strong for the time being, but Phoenixes, there's not a lot of anti-air in the field. A couple Marines clumped up here are gonna take a lot of area of effect from these Archons. Look at that splash damage. Marines popping as if they're getting hit by Bailings, but actually with the medevacs, he'll keep them alive, something that should not have happened. And ReiTor will throw everything away in this desperate attack. But unfortunately for him, it looks like Polt will hold. A couple Zealots still remaining, but a lot of SCVs killed there. Good game is thrown down, and ladies and gentlemen, Polt will take 2-1 over ReiTor. Oh my god, deep breath. Such a awesome game. ReiTor, man, you are awesome. I'm going to try and talk to him a little bit, but don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to run some ads. I'll see if there's any games left to catch. There may not be, as everything stops at the round of 8. Players may be finishing up by now. If there's games to cast, you betcha I'll stick with it. But we may be done. I'll have to look into this. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment.